Kara Zor-El, Superwoman issue 1, and this also takes us away from the books that are anthologies with extra stories. Not that they've all been, but most of them have been up until this point in this episode. But so yeah, this is issue 1. This is Margaret Bennett writing with Margaret Savage. Is that how you say her name? On art?
I think so.
Sure.
So I was looking forward to this because this has been a Supergirl book, and I like Kara a lot, so was definitely intrigued to check this one out. And unfortunately, I'm not that in love with it. And what's funny about this one is that I'm very mixed on it, but the general consensus from the Twitters seems to be a lot more positive than I am. So I think
I'm pretty positive on this.
This is the one that I thought Connor was saying was his top, that he thought was going to be the breakout.
There you go.
I don't think it's. I mean, I'll spoil this now. I didn't like it as much as the Superman Wonder Woman.
Yeah, sure.
But I do like this a lot, but especially a lot more than Pete by the sounds of it.
I like conceptually some of it for Kara's character. We'll get into obviously everything that goes on in the book. But I guess the most controversial thing I'm going to say is that I don't really like the art.
Wow. Oh my god,
that is borderline unfathomable.
I do not like the style that much. I don't like the coloring, and honestly, it makes a whole.
Coloring's one of the best elements.
I don't like the coloring. I don't like this coloring at all, and I think part of it's just because it feels too fantasy-esque to me.
Fairy tale,
like
is the word.
Fairy tale. It looks too fairy tale, and especially since that the alien character that shows up has this like shapeshifting ability. Once she's like turned into like a fox and a dragon or whatever, everything just feels like I'm watching a kid's fairy tale movie, and I hate how it looks. I'm sorry. I know this is not.
You need to watch some good kids fairy tale movies. Song of the Sea. Go watch Song of the Sea.
Watching a good kids. I don't dislike it because I dislike kids fairy tale movies. I dislike it because I dislike the look of kids fairy tale movies.
I thought I was to say I dislike it because I dislike kids.
And I know I'm in the market because I've seen people praising the art all week. This was just not for me.
As much as everyone else, because I'm not big on the story.
Mike.
but the art is gorgeous.
I do like the art a whole lot because it is so different from anything else, right? Like it really makes this book stand out as something different.
It has some amazing layouts. There's the 2-page spread where it kind of goes round and flows through. I love that one.
But on the story side, I do like the idea of Kara being someone's mentor, right? Someone that's a lot like her, that she feels like she can guide, and this is a much older Kara than I think that we've ever experienced.
It has to be. It's just to set up the context of the story here. This is in the future where there's a dome on the moon that Kara is kind of running and like defending.
Yeah, she's the guardian of Moonbase. Or whatever the city is, Moontropolis. Dibs on it. That's what we're calling it, Moontropolis. Sure.
Well, that is basically it. She's like, well, Clark already took Metropolis, and John inherited that. I need a city of my own.
Right, and I love that out of Margaret Bennett is that she realizes like sometimes Supergirl gets washed out with all the other super characters. It's like, where does she stand? And that's where I think where me and Pete liked when Supergirl went off and was the galactic hero.
Right? That was good.
It gave her something that wasn't just like, oh, she's the girl version of Clark.
I think there's a danger of too many stories doing, she needs to break out of Clark's shadow. But also, I get it, all too often she is just female Superman for all intents and purposes.
The problem is no one is stuck to one idea of what how she's different. We keep every time she breaks out of the shadow, it's in a different way, so nothing sticks, and it ends up just feeling like we keep going round in circles.
It's she's a Red Lantern, or she's
I actually really like her as a Red Lantern. That was a lot of fun.
So here though, where she is like the guardian of Moontropolis, like it's like and there's
Crypto's dead. Let's just get that out of the way first.
I don't like that.
Like the very first thing you see is the great.
Well, and that's who she's talking to throughout. Is she's having a conversation with Crypto's spirit, and because Crypto is the one that always believed in her, which I love because where we left off with Kara last is she's been running around with Crypto,
Yeah, so. I think the other thing I need to say here is that I don't like the art that much, which I know is blasphemy to everyone else who seems to love it. Margaret Bennett's writing though as well is something that it's not bad, but between this and her Batwoman, which I thought kind of went very up and down, and especially the way it went as it went on, I got less and less into it. I definitely feel like she's a writer who is very serviceable, but I often find just misses the mark in what the right feel is.
I think she can be overly wordy, and I think that's probably my biggest criticism of this issue. There are points where I'm like, yeah, this is a bit much.
It took a while to read this, even though I don't feel like it should have, because the art, just let the art do its job. Yeah, right? On a lot of it.
And there are points of the issue. There are points of the issue where she does shut up and just let the art go.
Right. That said, magical girl that can shapeshift and has a crown in her head, and I'm like, this is a little bit too Miyazaki for my liking.
It is very Miyazaki, isn't it?
Right. And I haven't even really seen a lot of those movies. I just know the references enough from being in nerd culture.
Yeah. I wasn't a super fan of the concept of this character all that much.
But there are parts that do work for me, though.
But it's kind of... But it is kind of weird to me that the arc of this issue is basically Kara saying, oh, I need to be her Crypto. I need to be there for her in the way that Crypto was for me. And I'm like, Kara, Crypto's great, but you're comparing yourself to a dog.
Why not be Lois? Or,
why not be...
I think that's trying to tell us just what, the relationship that she has with Crypto, that a lot of which we haven't obviously seen, is probably different to what we're imagining.
Right, but see, I'm a dog person. I get it, my dogs, when I'm in a bad mood or I'm feeling down or the anxiety's taken over, I can look at my dogs and they're always right there, no matter what. I get it. But like Pete said, there's a whole supporting cast of characters that Supergirl has had over the course, and Bennett decided to go with being there for her, the dog.
I do think it is
also.
It's like it's like Magic said. The dog is always there, no matter what. Whereas all the other characters have fallibility.
Also, right, let's not forget the fact that Kara's supposed to have Streaky, but for some reason DC have forgotten Streaky exists, and she's been lumped with Crypto for the past.
Crypto's better.
While.
That's just it.
I'm not getting on board.
She
with
also
this
had Comet. You're not getting mad over Comet. I just think it's your cat bias.
Shut up, book. Streaky's important. So the aliens that are coming after this princess who's got this power, which was in a duel because their factions were warring over blah blah blah. Who cares? It's all bad. The point is did anyone else think their ship looked like the Sulaco from Aliens? It's a very Sulaco looking design.
Sure.
For anyone who remembers,
I don't remember it well enough.
Well, okay. For anyone who remembers Sulaco, it looks like the Sulaco. It's more crystally looking. The color's very different, but the shape's very Sulaco, and it looks kind of like a pulse rifle.
Is that the ship that they go into?
How do I spell it?
Sulaco. S-U-L.
Okay, I'm looking now.
Yes.
Which ship is it, Pete? Is it the one where the driver?
I think that might have been the reference image.
Yes.
It is almost exact. I will give you that one.
Yeah. It's a big ship. It's the big ship. It's not the one they go down in. It's the one that houses everything in space.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm even looking at the points at the front.
Yeah.
Are almost exactly what I'm looking at on this. That is the reference image.
So Disney's going to come calling because this is intellectual property.
It's been a while since I've seen Aliens. I should give it a watch. I do have it.
You should. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Anyways.
Yeah, you guys can talk about it. Because ultimately at this point, the fairy tale-esque character, the fairy tale style art is just not for me. And I love the character of Kara, and I like that it does deal with her anger a little bit, and that the final page is kind of her, refusing to let her go off on her own, and taking on this enemy that's coming after her with her heat vision, saying, I'm sorry that I have to act out of anger and violence, but not sorry enough. I kind of like what that's saying about the character, but ultimately, I thought this was a bit of a slog to get through because it just was so against my taste, which is a shame.
Yeah. For me, there's just some wonderful layouts. There's the page where it's telling most of the backstory about the jewel and stuff, and it's on this stained glass window background.
Oh, I hated that page. But yeah, come on.
Oh, I love that page. I mean, I wish there was a little bit less text on that page. I would have just, or more accurately, I think what the lettering could have maybe arranged the boxes in a bit of a more interesting way to kind of go around with the flow of the image. Would have probably been the better choice. Mm-hmm. But I really like the idea of, okay, we're telling this history and we're going to do it through this portrait of like this stained glass window style, which is, how a lot of, your churches, for example, recorded a lot of their history.
That's why they were there, right?
Like, yeah, they were there to tell the story to people who couldn't read. And just that idea incorporated in, I think it's really smart.
Pete's like, don't clutter up the page, but don't tell me a story through pictures either.
Just kind of said it like the page. That mean that I don't want it to tell a story.
Yes, I know.
That's putting words in my mouth, you son of a bitch.
We're being facetious because Pete hates lovely things.
Look, this is the sort of thing where, like, when I saw the reactions on Twitter, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be the grumpy one on this. Everyone's going to be against me.
Let's say again, I don't love it as much as everyone else does either, but I do like it. I like how different it is. It's not a typical Superwoman or Supergirl story, and I like the art. Like
I think it's safe to say I like this the most of the three of us.
Sure, yes. And I thought that 2-page layout where it's like going around as they're doing stuff, I thought it was kind of messy, and it was just like too many lines with not enough, like, the coloring's not making it stick out or like really differentiate any sections for me.
That's why I really disagree, because it fluctuates between the blues and the oranges, and each time it shifts, it's a really defined way of breaking up the panels. Essentially, is it's done with the color to shift them apart, and it makes it really clear when it's transitioning through that.
I read this second because I was really excited for it, and reading this after the Dark Detective art with the futuristic, all the deep blacks and the neon lights.
Oh, they're so different. They're like incomparable.
This was so disappointing. I was like, oh my god, I hate this art. Like, what?
And I go, why not both?
Yeah. I do love both of these art styles. Specifically these artists.
I'm just talking about my experience of reading them back to back. Obviously, I like many other art styles, Matt. Let's not pretend I don't.
I mean, you love JRJR. You love it so much that you act like you don't.
This is...
He feels bad about showing too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be like, play it cool.
Yeah, sure.
Got that. But they did to Melody Moore.
Yes.
Man.
Oh yes. The fact that I literally didn't recognize a character shows like, how much I love that art.
Keep the readers on their toes.
If there's one thing I love in comic book art, is actually stuck with, who is this? And not because they're shielded in mystery, because there's a mask or something. Be like, no, I can see their face clearly, but who is this?
Why is one of the endless here? All right, cool. Let's move on. I got playoff football and then a Knights game.
You got play a type. All right.
What time's the Knights game tonight?
7. My time.
Okay.
So.
Okay, cool.
That's away. That's inches away. Anyway, what are you rating that?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Connor?
8.5 from me.
That's his personal taste. This is personal taste. 5 out of 10. And that's honestly, given how much I didn't enjoy reading this, I'm being generous.
So, guys, you know what you have to do? We have to crowdsource Pete to get some official art from Marguerite Sauvage. Just so, and then he's gonna learn to love it because he's gonna feel bad. That
I think that's cruel on the artist to make them commission a piece. Not it really matters to them all that much, but I think part of that feels cruel to me, to commission a piece of art knowing that you're saying to someone who hates the art. That feels cruel to me. And
I don't get how you can look at this final page of her doing the heat vision and be like, I don't like this art.
I don't like
also,
it.
Also, your listeners, that is code for if you ever see JRJR doing commissions, get one for Pete.
I mean, I have nothing against this artist.
I know it's just fun to poke because you seem to be the outlier.
Not that I was going to say I don't have anything personal against this artist. Not that I have anything personal against JRJR either, but I guess I've had to suffer through more of his art, and it's even worse than this, obviously.
I met JRJR at a con. Very nice man.
Yeah.
Very free with his time and talked with everybody and just like.
And let me make this clear, right? I am not saying this is objectively bad art. I am saying I really hate it. Whereas JRJR is objectively terrible art that I also obviously hate. So there's a difference between those two things.